Hello my fellow YouTubers, it is Wednesday, March 20th, 6:55 a.m. Denver time, and we're going to cover a little bit about what's going on with the geoengineering slash chemtrail slash solar radiation management that is not happening. So all you have to do is listen, and I'll play a few minutes of this here and there.
Have the whole of academia denying it. Now, with all this, everything I've been over in this broadcast, consider this new headline. U.S. blocks UN resolution on geoengineering. From that report, the measure calls for a report on solar radiation management, i.e. jet aircraft spraying light-scattering particles into the atmosphere. Exactly what we see. The United States joined Saudi Arabia to derail a UN resolution that sought to improve the world's understanding of potential efforts to lace the sky with sun-reflecting aerosols. Plug that into everything I've been over in this broadcast. The two countries were joined by Brazil in blocking the resolution at the UN Environmental Assembly Conference in Nairobi, Kenya. Back up to what I covered earlier in this broadcast. The plane that crashed with the representatives flying to Kenya, what information did they have, might they have shared, and now they can't because they're dead? Think about it. Connect the dots. Come to your own conclusion. Final statement from this report. The resolution would have asked the world's decision-making body on the environment to commission a report outlining research and planning related to solar radiation management, and the U.S. and Saudi Arabia blocked it. They blocked it. Not hard to connect these dots. Why does it...
Okay, and I'm going to pause here and jump to another one.
The brutal, bitter end. Consider that. Moving on. This new report from multiple sources. U.S. officials reveal Atlantic drilling plan while hailing Trump's ability to distract the public. How many times have I stated on geoengineeringwatch.org, the occupants of the White House, whether it is Trump, Obama, Bush, Clinton, or their predecessors, their job is to distract and divide populations while other agendas are carried out, period. On that note, from this report, revealed, Interior Department official says he is, quote, thrilled by Trump's, quote, knack for keeping the attention of the media and public focused somewhere else. Think about that. Now from the Sun Sentinel, this report, President Trump snubs Everglade cleanup. Coastal oil drilling could come next. No could, may, might. This is a loot, plunder, and pillage policy by the very people who have always been involved in this arena. These are from multiple sources. These aren't environmentalist sources. These are community media sources. Consider this next headline from the nationalhogfarmer.com. Drastic cuts to agriculture proposed in Trump budget. Another one from the LA Times and other sources. The Environmental Protection Agency is targeted for some of the president's most brutal cuts, cutting back on any and every environmental protection agency, threatening those agencies, utilizing them to help cover up the threats to the public so that the military, industrial, fossil fuel industrial, medical industrial complexes can do whatever they want. That's the world we live in. And for those that shut down when their particular chosen savior is not what they appeared to be, please look past that. This is not about politics. I am as non-political as I could be. I'm simply stating that any and every occupant of the White House, going all the way back to Kennedy, is a puppet in the play. And that's not hard to see if you simply look past the smoke and mirrors. For the record again, so there's no misunderstanding, all occupants of the White House, all the way back to Kennedy, are power structure puppets, actors in the scripted power structure play. We must be willing to face this reality if we are to have any chance of changing our course. There's this new headline report to consider. Listen carefully, because all of this is connected. It may not sound related, but in fact it is likely entirely connected. Crashed Ethiopian plane had at least 19 UN officials on board. Some of the passengers were headed to the environmental meeting in Nairobi. Casualties included politicians. Remember both of those facts. I will elaborate on the significance later in this broadcast. And about very convenient plane crashes, if you're not aware of what happened to Senator Paul Wellstone and his entire family in a plane crash, please investigate that. That's what happens to people that could threaten the official crimes, cover-up, and narratives. From USA Today and numerous other sources. This new report, quote, UN's dire warning, we must act now on Earth's environment as human health, quote, increasingly threatened. From this report, because of a dangerous combination of climate change, pollution, mass extinction, and a growing human population. A massive report from the United Nations released Wednesday said that, quote, damage to the planet is so dire that people's health will be increasingly threatened unless, quote, urgent action is taken. The report was released Wednesday at a UN conference in Nairobi, Kenya. Part of this, plane crash, environmental cover-up, climate engineering, atmospheric particulate pollution, which we are all inhaling, the vast majority of the most toxic particulate pollution coming from climate engineering fallout. If you think governmental agencies are here to protect you from such dangers, please wake up, investigate, face reality. Our time is running out. For a decade, geoengineeringwatch.org has stated on the record that a time would soon come when the gravity and immediacy of what is unfolding would no longer be possible to hide. We are free-falling toward challenges that are completely unimaginable to almost all. From the Huffington Post and numerous other sources, this new report, the rapid decline of the natural world is a crisis even bigger than climate change. And of course, such sources never mention climate engineering, single most destructive factor in the equation of all, and that is saying a lot. From this report, a 3-year UN-backed study from the Intergovernmental Science Policy Platform on Biodiversity and Ecosystem Services has a grim implication for the future of humanity. The report says this: nature is in free fall and the planet's support systems are so stretched that we face widespread species extinctions and mass human migration unless urgent action is taken. That's the warning hundreds of scientists are preparing to give, and it's stark. The report continues. The last year has seen a slew of brutal and terrifying warnings about the threat climate change poses to life. No mention of climate engineering, of course. Far less talked about, but just as dangerous, if not more so, is the rapid decline of the natural world. The dying of forests, the overexploitation of seas and soils, and the pollution of air and water are together driving the living world to the brink, according to a huge 3-year UN-backed landmark study to be published in May. Climate engineering, its decimation to the atmosphere, its complete toxification of the biosphere and the entire surface of the planet, every breath we take, never mentioned in any of these studies. This is the cowardice of academia that has betrayed the entire human race and the entire web of life. It must change or we have no chance. Another headline: why aerosols are killing us. The devil's bargain. Why aerosols pose a deadly climate change threat. Stop there. The greatest single source of aerosol pollution in the atmosphere today is climate engineering, solar radiation management operations, and the whole of academia, with almost no exceptions, those few exceptions are working with geoengineeringwatch.org that I know of, are lying about the single greatest source of highly toxic atmospheric aerosols, tiny suspended particles in the atmosphere which are settling down through the air column, and we all get to breathe them. And when you look up and see from one day to the next, a day with clear skies to a grid pattern the next day, please use your sense of reason and logic. Something I spoke about at the beginning of this broadcast. Use those senses to understand what you're seeing is not just condensation. It's not condensation at all. It's sprayed particulate dispersions from geoengineering, solar radiation management, jet aircraft, and climate engineering operations. So listen to the first subtitle in this report, that aerosols are killing us. We already have a planet cooling technology. The problem is it's killing us. Yes, you can't put this kind of wrench into the web of life, this kind of toxin into our air column and not kill everything. That's what's happening. Here's a few recent frontline biosphere reports from PhysOrg and other sources. This headline: ocean heat waves devastate wildlife, worst to come. Invisible to people but deadly to marine life, ocean heat waves have damaged ecosystems across the globe and are poised to become even more destructive. Oceans die, we die. Forests die, we die. Plankton die, we die. Ozone layer collapses, we die. All of it's happening at once. Climate engineering, in the attempt to mask that from the population for as long as possible, is actually fueling the entire process across the board, including our immediate demise from these toxic elements, which serves the power structure. Make no mistake about it. A sickened, dumbed down, less cognitively functional population is much easier to control, period. Another headline: disappearing rice fields threaten more global warming. These feedback loops are coming in from every direction, fueling us toward what is known as Venus syndrome. On that note, the weather makers have whipped up yet another weekly...
Okay, then he goes in to talk about that blizzard, that bombogenesis that hit Denver, well, Colorado, and then cruised out east. Created snow that melted instantly and turned into rain. Now we have all those floods. Of course, the loss of cattle, loss of farmland, loss of houses, loss of life. You never forget the 500,000 cattle just recently drowned in Australia. And I'm going to, like the man says, has been saying for the past few years, sooner or later they cannot hide what's going on with the weather. And as you can see, you cannot frickin' hide it no more. Okay, I'm going to pause and back up to another one. Okay, now this little clip is about Reddit, who our truthers seem to love so much. And I throw it before it's news in the same basket. Propaganda distraction with some truth. So let's listen to this.
Planet. Again, on this point, mainstream media, social media sources, Amazon, etc., are doing anything and everything they can to ban and hide information that exposes the ongoing insanity and criminality. Any that are attempting to investigate the truth should go to a search engine other than Google. Something else to remember. Moving on, let's cover a few more examples of censorship and cover-up. Reddit to ban users who question official 9/11 narrative. Think about that. From that report, a 9/11 Truth website was placed under a Reddit quarantine. The Reddit administrators claimed that the 9/11 Truth site posted misinformation. Reddit then directed people seeking information on the 9/11 issue to the official government website. That's the only narrative we're allowed to see. Reddit stated, quote, the 9/11 Truth site may contain a high degree of misinformation, i.e. anything that disputes the official narrative. If you're seeking historic information about the September 11 attacks, please visit the National Commission on Terrorist Attacks upon the United States, blah, blah, blah. It gives a government website. According to Reddit, communities are placed under quarantine to prevent others from accidentally stumbling upon this information, i.e. the truth. Reddit, like most other social media platforms, has begun to control the flow of information and crowning themselves as arbiters of truth. So many who work for these companies, part of the cancer, part of the criminality. Questioning the government is how we maintain freedom and attempt to seek truth. When social media giants like Reddit censor this information and claim that there is only one official source for it, and that source is the government, they are deceiving citizens, period. Here's another glaring example of censorship.
Well, anyway, that's it for today, folks. And like I said, that's the reason I prep. When I learned about Dane Wigington about 1.5 years, 2 years ago, I lose track of time. And you can look around. And contrary to what a lot of people like to say, this biosphere, this planet is dying. So prep and prep with food. Because pretty soon, and like now, as you can see, everything being killed by the wild weather from the geoengineering, it's going to get much worse. Anyway, until next time, bye.